That Thanksgiving, my stepmother slapped me in front of 50 guests. My wine glass shattered across the floor. But the thing that changed my life wasn't the slap. It was the trembling note my little brother pushed into my hand under the table. "If you sign tonight, you lose everything. I have proof." My name is Madeline Hart. I am 33 years old, by trade. I am a financial risk analyst for Apex Shield Analytics in Chicago. My job is to calculate the precise moment a system will break, what the fallout will be, and how to mitigate the damage. I am very good at my job. Tonight, however, I am not an analyst. I am just a daughter, sitting at the head table of Maple Ridge Estate, the sprawling farm that has been in my father's family for a century, but which has been Lydia's stage for the last decade. This is not a warm family gathering. It is a production. The dining room table, a single piece of polished mahogany that my great-grandfather commissioned, stretches seemingly for a mile. It seats 50. Tonight, it is full. Tapered candles in heavy silver holders cast a flickering, expensive glow across the faces of our guests. Christofle silverware, which I am certain Lydia rented, rests on starched, cream-colored linen. The air smells overwhelmingly of roasted turkey, pine boughs from the enormous centerpiece, and Lydia's signature perfume, a scent so heavy it almost chokes the oxygen from the room. The guest list is not family. It is a strategic portfolio. These are not our aunts and uncles. These are Lydia's contacts, bankers from the county seat, lawyers with regional practices, local politicians, and a few flashy entrepreneurs. My half-brother Chase is currently trying to impress. They are all here, sipping $1,000-a-bottle Cabernet, believing they are witnessing the holiday warmth of a successful, tight-knit American family. They are here to see what Lydia has built, to admire her taste, her influence, her perfect life. Lydia Hartman, my stepmother, glides to my side. She is a vision in a cream-colored cashmere dress that probably costs more than my first car. Her blonde hair is swept into an immaculate chignon, and her smile is perfectly calibrated, a bright, welcoming beacon of manufactured charm. She is always, playing the role of the perfect hostess. Maddie, darling, her voice, a smooth coo that always sets my teeth on edge, cuts through the polite murmur of conversation. She's holding a small stack of papers bound in a leather folio and a sleek gold pen. "Lydia," I reply, offering a tight smile. "The party is beautiful. You've outdone yourself." "Thank you. Darling, it's just a little something." She dismisses the grandeur with a wave of her hand. "Darling, I just need you to handle this before we bring out the pies. Just a small tax formality, for the estate." She fans the papers slightly, placing them on the table next to my plate, directly on top of my napkin. I glance down. It's not one page. It's a stack, maybe 20 pages, dense with legal text, with small, brightly colored "sign here" flags dotting the edges. My internal alarms, the ones I live by at Apex Shield, start a low, quiet thrum. "Now?" I ask, keeping my voice light. "We're in the middle of dinner, Lydia." "It's just a signature, Maddie. Your father wants it handled before the end of the night. You know how he is about loose ends." I look at my father, Robert, holding court at the other end of the table, laughing too loudly at a banker's joke. He does not look like a man worried about loose ends. "I'll look at it later," I say, pushing the folio aside gently. "In the study, after the guests leave." "No." The word is quiet, but the smile tightens, just a fraction. "It needs to be done now. It's just a formality." "I don't sign formalities, Lydia," I say, still smiling, still trying to play the game. "I read them. That's my job. Remember?" And that is when the mask of the perfect hostess vanishes. Her eyes narrow. The air around us goes cold. She glances at the guests nearest us, sees they are engrossed in their own conversations. She leans in, her voice a low hiss. "Don't you dare be difficult. Madeline, not tonight." "I'm not being difficult. I'm being prudent. I will read it later." "You will sign it now." "No." She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't warn me. She simply draws back her hand, heavy with the platinum wedding ring my father gave her, and a few other rings I don't recognize, and she strikes me across the face. The sound is sharp, ugly, a wet, cracking sound that cuts through the polite hum of conversation and the distant swell of classical music. My head snaps to the side. The pain is immediate, a bright, stinging heat that explodes across my left cheek. For a second, there is no sound at all, just a ringing in my ears. My hand, the one holding a glass of that expensive Cabernet, jerks in pure reflex. The glass slips from my fingers. It doesn't just topple, it flies. It hits the edge of the table and shatters. Red wine explodes outward. It sprays across the pristine, cream-colored tablecloth like an arterial wound. It splashes onto Lydia's cashmere dress. It drenches the front of my own silk blouse. The room doesn't just go quiet, it freezes. 50 conversations stop mid-word. A banker freezes with a fork halfway to his mouth. A lawyer's smile congeals on his face. The only sound in the vast, high-ceilinged room is the clink of a single piece of silverware, dropped by a startled guest, echoing in the sudden, dreadful vacuum. Everyone is staring. At me, at the stinging, rapidly reddening handprint on my face, at the blood-red stain spreading across the linen, at the furious, trembling tremor in Lydia's hand. My cheek is on fire. I am numb, but the analyst in my brain is already working, dispassionately, cataloging the humiliation, the public nature of the assault. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a loss of control. This was a message. Lydia speaks into the absolute silence, and her voice is no longer a coo. It is steel. It is venom. "You ungrateful girl." I stare at her, my lungs struggling to draw a breath. "After everything we have done for you, everything I have done, you sit here, in my house, eating my food, and you embarrass me?" I try to speak. Nothing comes out. My throat is closed. "You have no idea what it takes to hold this family together," she hisses, loud enough for the first 2 rows of guests to hear clearly. "You fly in from Chicago with your important job, thinking you're better than us, while we are here, protecting your brother's future, protecting the family legacy." Her eyes dart to Chase, my half-brother, sitting opposite me. He's 25, handsome in a lazy way, and looks profoundly bored. He is already reaching for more wine, as if his mother assaulting his sister is just boring dinner theater. "You are ruining it," Lydia accuses, jabbing a finger toward the wine-soaked papers. "You are deliberately trying to ruin your brother's future." My father, Robert Hart, finally lurches into action. He scrapes his chair back and hurries to Lydia's side. He puts a hand on her arm. "Lydia, dearest, not now. The guests. Please." His attempt at reconciliation is pathetic. He doesn't look at me. He doesn't ask if I'm all right. He is focused only on Lydia, on placating her, on managing her emotions. "Robert," she refuses, Lydia snaps, shaking off his hand. "Madeline," my father says, finally turning his watery, pleading eyes to me. His voice is low, choked with embarrassment. Don't make a scene. Please, just sign the papers. Whatever Lydia says, just do it. Let's just have a nice meal. For everyone. Don't make a scene." The words echo in my head, louder than the slap. I am the one with a stinging handprint on my face, wine soaking my clothes, and I am the one making the scene. The injustice of it is a separate, cold kind of pain that settles deep in my chest. I take a slow breath. I force my eyes away from my father's weakness. I look at Lydia. I look at the staring, horrified, morbidly curious faces of their 50 guests. I am a risk analyst. I manage crisis. This is a crisis. I place my shaking hands in my lap, under the table, out of sight. I will not let them see me tremble. When I speak, my voice is lower than I intended, rough with shock, but it carries in the awful silence. "If it is only a tax procedure, Lydia," I ask, my words precise, my gaze level, "why must I sign it right now, at the dinner table, in front of 50 people. A new wave of murmurs ripples through the room. This is a valid question. The bankers and lawyers at the table recognize the logic. You don't sign complex estate documents between the turkey and the pie. You just don't. Lydia sees the shift. She sees the narrative slipping from her grasp. She sees the doubt in the eyes of her important guests. She scrambles to reclaim it, and her only tool is melodrama. Her voice rises, breaking with manufactured tears. "You see?" she cries out, appealing to the room. "You see how she twists things? How she attacks me? She is selfish. She always has been. She doesn't care about this family, about Maple Ridge. She only cares about her big-shot life in Chicago. She would see her own brother fail just to prove a point. She is painting me as the cold, urban daughter, rejecting the warm, pastoral family values. It's a good performance. It's always a good performance." While Lydia delivers her monologue, my eyes are on my 13-year-old half-brother, Noah. He is Lydia and Robert's youngest. Their miracle, and the only person in this entire house I genuinely, uncomplicatedly love. He's sitting right beside me, small for his age, and he has been ghost-white and silent since the slap. He hasn't looked at me. He has been staring at his plate, his turkey untouched. As Lydia's voice climbs in pitch, accusing me of abandoning them, Noah suddenly jerks in his seat as if startled. "Oh, no, my napkin." He slides off his chair and disappears under the massive table. The guests are all distracted by Lydia's theatrical sobs. My father is trying to calm her. Chase looks annoyed. No one is watching Noah. No one but me. A moment later, I feel it, a small, hesitant touch against my wrist, hidden by the tablecloth. Noah's fingers, they are small, slightly sticky with gravy or cranberry sauce. They press something into my palm. It's a tiny, tightly folded square of paper. His fingers brush mine, a desperate, frantic squeeze, and then he's gone. I hear him resurface, sliding back into his chair. "Found it," he mumbles to no one. My heart is hammering against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the stinging of my cheek. My hand, still in my lap, closes around the small square. It feels hot, almost scorching. While Lydia argues with my father, who is now trying to get her to sit down, I keep my hand in my lap. I use the thumb of the same hand to slowly, painstakingly unfold the note, all by feel, hidden from view. I risk a glance down, shielding my lap with my other arm. In the dim, flickering candlelight, I see Noah's frantic, childish scrawl. The words are slanted, rushed. "Don't sign. They said they're writing you out of the will tonight. I have a recording. I'm sorry." A chill, deeper and sharper than the November air outside, races down my spine and settles in my bones. It's so cold it burns. I have a recording. All the sound in the room, Lydia's high-pitched justifications, my father's pathetic placations, the guests' renewed, avid whispers, fades into a distorted, underwater roar. This wasn't a sudden explosion of temper from Lydia. This wasn't a disagreement about tax formalities. This was a plan. The slap wasn't the goal. The slap was the consequence of my failure to comply with the plan. They brought me here, sat me at the head table, surrounded me with 50 witnesses, and planned to have me sign away my rights in a public, celebratory ceremony. The slap was their clumsy, desperate pivot when I, the risk analyst, refused to play my part. They were going to erase me tonight, and they were using Thanksgiving as the stage to do it. A waiter, pale and nervous, appears at my elbow. He looks like he wants to be anywhere else on earth. He clears the broken glass with a small brush and pan. He silently places a fresh folded napkin over the worst of the wine stain. With a trembling hand, he fills a new glass with Cabernet. I watch him do it, my face a mask, my cheek throbs, a dull counterpoint to the racing of my pulse. I pick up the new glass. My hand is perfectly steady now. The numbness of shock has refined itself into a sharp, clear focus. I raise the glass, not to drink, but as a prop. I look across the table. Lydia has stopped crying. She is watching me, her chest heaving, expecting my surrender. My father is watching me, his face a mask of misery, praying I will just make this go away. Chase is watching me with a smug little smile, already mentally spending his inheritance. I give them a smile of my own. It is small. It is polite. It does not reach my eyes. My eyes are ice. They think I will run. They think I will burst into tears and flee to my room. They think I will get in my rental car and drive back to O'Hare in shame. They think the public humiliation has broken me. I am Madeline Hart. I analyze risk. The greatest risk, I realize, is leaving this table. I am not going anywhere until I understand exactly what they have done behind my back. And tonight, I will find out. The sting on my cheek is a familiar echo. It's a pain I haven't felt in 9 years. But my body remembers it with perfect, cellular clarity. It pulls me back, away from the 50 pairs of staring eyes at the Thanksgiving table, away from the shattered glass and the spreading stain of Cabernet. It pulls me back to the beginning of the rot. I was 16 when my mother died. It was a long, slow, cruel illness that hollowed out both her body and our family's finances. When she was finally gone, the silence she left was devastating, but the debts were more immediate. My father, Robert Hart, a man who had always been more of a dreamer than a doer, was drowning in his own grief. But he was also drowning in a sea of red ink from a series of spectacularly failed business ventures. The bank was threatening foreclosure on Maple Ridge. The man I knew as my father, warm, if ineffectual, disintegrated. He was a ghost rattling around a house he was about to lose. And then, Lydia appeared. She arrived like a character from a novel, a perfectly crafted savior, Lydia Hartman, a successful, widowed real estate broker from a neighboring county. She was beautiful in a sharp, polished way, with a portfolio of connections and, most importantly, her own money. She met my father at a county auction. He was there to see what the farm might fetch. She was there to scout properties. Within 6 months, she had moved in. Within a year, they were married. She was not. At first, a monster. She was clever. She saw a 16-year-old girl, shattered by grief and abandoned by her father's sorrow, and she played the part of the mentor. She took me shopping, replacing my worn-out jeans with stylish, expensive clothes I had never owned. She took me to lunches at restaurants with cloth napkins. "Madeline," she'd say, tapping her immaculate fingernail on her wineglass, "you are a smart girl, like me. You have to remember, a woman must always be able to look after her own finances. You can't ever rely on a man to do it for you." I listened. I was desperate for guidance, for a strong female presence. My own mother had been soft and kind. Lydia was a blade. She was, I thought, what survival looked like. She paid off the bank. She saved Maple Ridge. She saved my father, and in my gratitude, I mistook her control for competence. The wedding was the pivot point. The day the ring slid onto her finger, the dynamic of the house shifted. Subtly at first, then with tectonic force, Lydia, the savior, became Lydia, the chief financial officer of the Hart family. It started small. "Robert, darling, you shouldn't have to worry about these dreadful bills. Let me handle them." "Madeline, sweetie, I've linked your debit card to the new household account, just for necessities. Focus on your studies. That's the most important thing." All the mail was redirected to a new post office box in her name. The farm's accounts, my father's meager remaining assets, even the small college fund my mother had started for me. Everything was consolidated under Lydia's management. She explained, optimizing our assets. My father, relieved to be free of the burden of his own failures, handed her everything with a sigh of gratitude. I was told not to worry my pretty little head about money. Then my brothers were born. First Chase, then, 5 years later, Noah. And the distinction in the household became absolute. I was no longer a daughter. I was a holdover from a previous, failed administration. Chase and Noah were the new dynasty. They got the newly renovated bedrooms with the best views. They got the expensive toys. The private lessons, the trips to Disney World, all family resources, all of Lydia's time, and my father's doting were focused on them. My role was codified. I was the responsible one. I was already grown up. When I was accepted into a good university, the celebration was muted. It was an expense, and I was, by then, an adult. "You're so strong, Maddie," my father told me, giving me an awkward one-armed hug. "You can handle this. I know you'll figure out the tuition. You always do. Your brothers, they're different. They still need us." He meant they still needed me. So, I went to college, and from my first year, I was a barista, a tutor, a library assistant. I took out loans. I applied for every scholarship. I paid my own way, every single cent. And when I started my first internship, I started sending money home. It was not a request, not at first. It was a gentle prod from Lydia. "Things are just a little tight this month. Darling, the feed prices for the horses are just astronomical, and Chase needs new braces." So I sent $500. The next month, it was an unexpected vet bill, then a minor repair on the roof. It quickly became an unspoken expectation. My monthly contribution to the family fund. Lydia was brilliant. She never framed it as a bill. She framed it as my choice, my loving contribution. If I was ever a day late, I wouldn't get a call from Lydia. I'd get one from my father, prompted by her. "Maddie? Everything all right?" he'd ask, his voice full of concern. "Yes, Dad, why?" "Well," he'd hedge, "Lydia is she's very worried. She's in the kitchen right now, crying. She says she doesn't know how she's going to keep the farm going and give the boys what they need. She's just trying to hold it all together." And so I would apologize, as if I had failed them. I would log into my bank account and send the money. My stomach churning with a guilt I couldn't name but couldn't escape. The confrontation, the only one, happened when I was 24. I was home from my first real job for a weekend. I was standing in the kitchen when Chase, then a smug 19-year-old, drove up in a brand-new, gleaming black convertible. He was bragging about it to my father in the driveway. I had just sent $1,500 home 2 days earlier. Money I had been saving for a desperately needed new laptop. Lydia had told me the septic system had failed. I waited until she was alone in the kitchen, washing vegetables. "A new car for Chase?" I asked, my voice shaking. I thought the septic tank was broken. Lydia didn't turn around. She just kept scrubbing a potato. "We managed both. It's called budgeting. Madeline, you should try it." "With my money?" The words were out before I could stop them. She stopped scrubbing. She placed the potato down with quiet precision. She turned around. Her face was perfectly calm. "What money, dear?" "The money I send home. The money you told me was for a septic system, not for a toy for Chase." "It's all one pot. Madeline," she said, drying her hands on a linen towel. "It all goes to the family, which you are part of, or are you not?" "That's not what we agreed. That's not what you told me." "Don't be dramatic." She started to walk past me. I stepped in her way. "I'm not being dramatic. Lydia, you lied to me. You used my money." Her eyes went flat. The polished, manicured mask of the hostess evaporated, leaving something cold and reptilian. "You are so ungrateful," she whispered. And then she moved. It was fast. She grabbed my wrist, her fingers digging in with shocking strength. She shoved me backward, hard. My back hit the plaster of the kitchen wall, knocking the air from my lungs in a sharp gasp. Before I could recover, she slapped me. It was the same open-palmed, stinging crack that I just felt at the dinner table. My 24-year-old self was as stunned as my 33-year-old self. She leaned in, her face inches from mine, and her voice was a venomous hiss that I alone could hear. "You listen to me. This house, this farm, your father's entire life. It exists because of my money and yours. It is a partnership. You are not a guest here. Madeline, you are an investor, and you owe us loyalty. You owe me loyalty." My cheek burned, tears of shock and pain stinging my eyes. I was an adult, and she had just assaulted me. I was about to shove her off, to scream, when the kitchen door swung open. What in God's name is going on? My father, Robert, stood in the doorway, his face a mask of confusion. Lydia's transformation was instantaneous. It was the most terrifying, brilliant performance I have ever seen. She sprang backward from me, as if I had been the aggressor. Her hand flew to her chest, her eyes wide with fake terror. She burst into tears. "Robert! Oh, thank God! She pushed me. I just told her we were so grateful for her help, and she just exploded." I stood, mute, against the wall. My cheek was bright red. My mind was blank with the audacity of the lie. "What?" my father said, looking at me. "She's lying," I managed, my voice a croak. "She pushed me. She hit me." Lydia let out a wail. "Why would you say that? Why would you lie? Madeline, I love you like my own daughter. I was just trying to talk to her, Robert, and she shoved me against the counter." My father looked from his crying, victimized wife to his silent, stunned daughter. He looked at the red handprint that was, even then, beginning to form on my face, and he made his choice. "Madeline," he said, his voice low and full of a profound, devastating disappointment that broke my heart more than the slap. "Apologize to your mother." "What, Dad? She hit me." "I don't know what got into you. I don't know what's happening in that city. But you do not come into this house, our house, and disrespect Lydia like that. She saved this family. She saved me. Now, you apologize. Right now." I looked at him. I saw the weakness. I saw the desperate need to believe his new wife, the woman who held the checkbook, over the daughter who only cost him. I understood. In that kitchen, with the smell of raw potatoes in the air and my cheek on fire, that I was completely and totally alone. Robert would always, always choose Lydia. The truth did not matter. My pain did not matter. Only the narrative Lydia constructed mattered. "I'm sorry," I whispered, the words tasting like ash. That was the day I truly left. I flew back to Chicago the next morning. I found a new apartment. I changed my number. I focused on my career with a singular, burning intensity. I would become so successful, so financially independent, that I would never, ever be in a position where a man like my father or a woman like Lydia could control me again. But I still sent the money. The lie festered, but the guilt remained. I still sent the money, not for Lydia, not for my father, but for Noah. He was the only one, the quiet, observant kid who would slip into my room when I visited, holding a drawing or a book he wanted to show me. The only person in that house who looked at me not as a line item, not as a responsible one, but as his sister. I couldn't cut him off, and Lydia knew it. My money was the price of admission to my little brother's life. So I kept paying. The memory is so vivid, I can almost smell the kitchen again. I'm brought back to the present by a new wave of whispers. I'm still sitting at the Thanksgiving table, the uneaten turkey congealing on my plate. Noah's note a hot, secret coal in my hand. I feel the ghost of that old laptop in my dorm room, the click of the keys as I confirmed the transfer. I feel the buzz of the phone on the cheap desk. I can still see the text message from Lydia that came through seconds later, a text I have never been able to delete. "Thank you, my dear girl. Your mother and brothers are so proud of you." It was a thank you. It was a receipt. It was a chain-link fence, invisible and warm and wrapped around my throat. And tonight, I think, as I look at Lydia's furious, panicked face, tonight is the night they finally decided to pull it tight. Lydia's performance for the guests is a masterful pivot, but I am no longer watching it. I am in my head, running numbers, connecting data points. The note in my lap is the new, critical piece of information that makes the entire puzzle snap into focus. The shock, the humiliation, they are fading, replaced by a cold, analytical fury. My life in Chicago is a fortress. They have never seen it. They have never been invited. I live on the 52nd floor of a glass tower overlooking Millennium Park. It is a minimalist penthouse, all polished concrete, white walls, and steel. There are no family photos. There is no clutter. It is a space designed for clarity and control. My office at Apex Shield Analytics, 20 floors higher in a neighboring building, is much the same. From that desk, I am not Maddie, the responsible, guilty daughter. I am Ms. Hart, the senior analyst whose models predict market volatility with terrifying accuracy. I manage risk portfolios in the 9-figure range. I spend my days telling CEOs and hedge fund managers what they are about to lose, and they listen. They pay my firm obscene amounts of money for me to be paranoid on their behalf. Lydia and my father think they know my life. They picture me in a small, respectable apartment, earning a good salary, dutifully putting away a little for retirement. They imagine me as a success, but a manageable one. Their version of me is just "ding well," which, in their language, means she has disposable income. She is a reliable source of funds. They have no idea. They do not know that I was an early partner at Apex Shield. They do not know that when the firm was acquired 2 years ago, my stock options vested. They do not know about the 2 tech startups I seed funded as an angel investor, both of which went public. They do not know that my personal net worth, sitting in diversified, shielded accounts they cannot see and would not understand, is north of $25 million. My wealth is my secret. It is my power. It is the armor I have been building, piece by piece, since that day in the kitchen 9 years ago. I kept it secret not just for protection, but because I knew, instinctively, that if they ever learned the truth, their requests would no longer be for a few thousand. They would be for millions. They would see me not as a person, but as a vault. And yet, even without knowing the truth, they have tried. The investment started about 10 years ago. It was always Chase, fronted by Lydia. Chase, my father's golden boy, the one who was different and sensitive, which was just code for lazy and incompetent. The first call was for a restaurant. "It's a sure thing, a daddlin'," Lydia's voice, bubbly and conspiratorial over the phone. Chase has such a vision for a farm-to-table concept. It's the future of Maple Ridge. This is the opportunity to get in on the ground floor. It's for the whole family's future. I was younger then, still naive enough to hope that a business success would get them off my back. I wired $50,000. The restaurant was shuttered in 6 months after failing 3 major health inspections. Next was a luxury glamping resort on the back 40 acres. "People from the city are dying for this," Maddie, Chase himself told me, his voice full of unearned confidence. "It's a cash cow. We just need the initial capital for the high-end tents. This is your chance, as a big sister, to secure your brother's future." That investment cost me $100,000. The tents were bought, but the project dissolved into a dispute with the county over zoning laws. Something Chase had, of course, forgotten to check. There was the mobile app, a social media platform for farmers that no farmer needed. There was the artisanal distillery that never produced a single bottle of marketable liquor. Each project was presented as a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and each time, I was the only one asked to put up the cash. Over the last decade, I have run the numbers. I have transferred, in documented, trackable wires, a total of $1.8 million to various accounts controlled by Lydia and Chase for their ventures. Not 1 cent has ever been paid back. After each spectacular failure, the script was the same. I would call, demanding answers, and I would get Lydia, and Lydia would be crying. "I just don't know what went wrong," she'd sob. "Chase is devastated. He's in his room. He won't come out. He's sensitive. Madeline, he can't handle this kind of pressure, this kind of failure." And then, the knife twist. "You're his big sister. You're strong. You can't blame him for trying. He's just not built like you are. Don't be hard on him. He's only doing this for the family." My role was not to be an investor. It was to be the underwriter. My job was to absorb the loss, to be the silent, responsible backstop for their fantasies, so that Chase would never have to face the consequences of his own ineptitude. And my father? My father was the peacemaker, the collaborator who smoothed the edges of the con. "Now, Maddie," he would say in a separate, quiet phone call, "don't be upset with Lydia. You have to remember what she did for this family. She saved this farm. She saved me. A child has a responsibility to their parents, a duty to repay what they've been given. What they've been given, I was never given anything. I was paying for a past that wasn't my fault and a future that wasn't my own. I tried to cut them off. I truly did. 2 years ago, after the distillery fiasco, I changed my number. I blocked Lydia's email. I told myself, no more." The silence lasted 3 weeks. Then, an email slipped through my spam filter. It was from a new address. It was from Noah. Noah, Heart12 at school, net. "Hi, Maddie. Mom said I can't go to the state robotics camp. She said it's too expensive. My team is counting on me. I'm sorry to ask. I hope you're good. I miss you." My resolve crumbled. It was $2,000. I looked at my bank account, the one with 7 zeros in it. I thought of this small, smart, kind boy, the only decent soul in that house, being used as a pawn in Lydia's power game. He was the collateral damage. So I unblocked Lydia's number. I wired the money. I kept the financial channel open. Not for them, but for him, and Lydia knew it. She used him, sparingly but effectively, whenever she sensed I was pulling too far away. A text about Noah needing a new laptop for school. A call about Noah needing a math tutor. It was always just enough to keep me tethered, to remind me that my silence and my money were the price of protecting him. But in the last 6 months, something changed. The background noise of their financial chaos shifted into a different key, one that set my professional alarms screaming. It started with a piece of mail, a bank I had never done business with. Heritage Community Bank, sent a statement for a credit line. It was addressed to M. Hart, but it wasn't sent to my Chicago address. It was sent to Maple Ridge Estate. Lydia had forwarded it, casually, with a sticky note. "Darling, they must have your old address. Just some junk mail, I think." I opened it. It was a line of credit for $20,000, and it was in my name. My blood went cold. I called the bank. They said the account had been opened 3 months prior, online, using my social security number and a signature on file from a previous, much older account I didn't remember opening. I pulled my credit report. There, in black and white, were 3 hard inquiries from the last year, all from local banks near Maple Ridge, all for loan applications, all of which I had not made. Someone was using my identity. Someone was leveraging my good credit, my name, to open new lines of debt. I immediately placed a high-level security freeze on all 3 of my credit bureaus. I put alerts on all my known accounts, and I made a call, not to the police, but to an old friend from college who was now a vice president at a regional bank in Illinois. I asked her, as a favor, to quietly look into any M. Hart accounts associated with Lydia's name or the Maple Ridge address. I had a hunch, a terrible, sinking feeling that the $1.8 million I knew I had given them was just the tip of the iceberg. I had been worried about the money they were asking for. I should have been worried about the money they were taking. The proof wasn't solid. It was just a feeling, a series of data points that didn't connect. Until Noah's note. 2 weeks ago, Lydia called. Her voice was pure sunshine. "Madeline, darling, I know we haven't talked. You've been so busy. But you must come home for Thanksgiving. It won't be the same without you. Just family. No business. No money talk. I promise. Just us." I was already preparing my no. My assistant was already drafting the email about an unavoidable work conflict. Then my personal phone lit up. A private text. From Noah. "You have to come." I texted back. "Why? Is everything okay?" "No. Mom is acting weird. She and a lawyer were here. Please come. I need to see you alone." He ended it with a single, un-Noah-like, worried face emoji. So I booked the flight. I packed my bag. I told my firm I was taking a long weekend. I flew from my fortress of glass and steel back to the rotting, emotionally bankrupt heart of Maple Ridge Estate. I didn't come because I trusted Lydia. I came because I was terrified for Noah. And I came because, for the first time, I wasn't just going to wire money at the problem from a distance. I was going to look the rot straight in the face. I think back to 2 nights ago, closing my laptop in my Chicago office. The screensaver was a live feed of my portfolio, a number so large it looked fake. I looked at that number, a number I had earned, a number that represented my freedom. And I thought, tonight, I either take back control or I lose everything. I had no idea how right I was. I am back at the table. The throbbing on my cheek is a physical anchor, grounding me in the reality of the room, but my mind is in overdrive, cold and clear. Noah's note is a folded, hidden truth in my lap. I have a recording, this entire party, the 50 guests, the expensive wine, the polished silver. It is a stage. It is a carefully constructed piece of theater designed for one purpose, to witness my public execution. Lydia, seeing I am not fleeing in tears, regroups with the speed of a seasoned general. The performance of the distraught, misunderstood matriarch fades, replaced by one of a patient, benevolent host dealing with a difficult, high-strung child. She dabs at her dry eyes with a linen napkin. "Oh, my dear," she says, her voice loud enough for the entire table to hear, but pitched with deep, theatrical concern. She looks at the guests nearest us. "You must forgive Madeline. Her job. It's so high pressure. Analyzing all those numbers in Chicago. She gets so stressed, so sensitive, especially around family matters. She worries about every little detail." She pats my hand. I do not pull away. I let her. I feel the chill of her rings. "It's just a small adjustment of the estate assets. Darling," she coos at me, but her eyes are hard, warning me. "Just to protect us, to protect you. We're all on the same side here." My father, Robert, seizes the manufactured calm. He scrapes his chair back, stands up, and taps his wineglass with a knife. The ringing is thin, desperate. Friends, he begins, his voice shaky, but trying for jovial. What a wonderful Thanksgiving, to have all of you here, at Maple Ridge. It means the world to us, to me." He raises his glass toward his wife. "And I especially want to toast Lydia." Lydia turns, a mask of humble surprise on her face. The guests murmur politely, relieved to have a new, less violent focus. "This woman," my father continues, his voice gaining a bit of its old, buttery warmth. She saved this place. When I was at my lowest, she stepped in. She has been the guardian of Maple Ridge Estate, its heart and its soul. For all these years, she has given everything to protect it. I feel a hot, acidic bile rise in my throat. She saved it, with my money. And tonight, Robert says, his smile widening, tonight, we are just tidying up, doing one small thing, a bit of family business, to ensure that the future of this farm, the legacy, is secure for the next generation, for our children. He beams at Chase. He beams at Noah. He gives me a watery, pleading look that says, "Just play along, please." Lydia takes his speech as her cue. She stands, all grace and poise, the picture of a loving wife. "Oh, Robert, you're too sweet. I haven't done it alone." She gestures toward our half-brother. "Chase, especially, has been a driving force, our visionary." Chase, who has been texting under the table, looks up, startled to be in the spotlight. "Many of you know," Lydia continues, her voice swelling with pride, "that Chase is our young entrepreneur. He is in the final planning stages of a truly spectacular project, a high-end luxury resort experience, right here on the Maple Ridge grounds. It's going to bring so much to this community." The guests applaud. A few of the local bankers nod, looking interested. They don't know about the trail of bankruptcies. They don't know about the 1.8 million of my money that he has already incinerated on visions. I sit silently, my face arranged in a mask of neutral interest, and I remember the failed health inspections of his farm-to-table restaurant. Of course, Lydia says, with a self-deprecating laugh. These wonderful big ideas require so much dull paperwork, which brings us to our dear friend. She gestures to a man sitting near my father. A man I had noticed earlier, but dismissed as just another banker. He is in his late 60s, with a shock of salt and pepper hair and a perfectly tailored suit. He carries an expensive leather briefcase, which I now see is resting on the floor by his feet. This is Mr. Gray. Lydia introduces him to the room. He is our longtime family attorney, and he has been an absolute wizard, helping us restructure the estate's assets to be more efficient, for tax purposes, you know. Mr. Gray inclines his head, not smiling. He looks calm, professional, and entirely unbothered by the scene that played out 10 minutes ago. He is not a guest. He is a closer. He reaches down, retrieves his briefcase, and snaps it open. He pulls out the other copy of the leather-bound folio, the one not currently soaked in Cabernet. He hands it to Lydia, who beams at him. Thank you, Mr. Gray. You see, Madeline, she says, turning to me. This is just the final piece of that puzzle, a simple formality. She places the new dry stack of papers in front of me, right next to my untouched slice of pumpkin pie. It's just to reduce our tax burden, Lydia explains breezily to the room at large. And honestly, to make your life simpler. Darling, we know how terribly busy you are in Chicago. You don't have time to be bothered with the day-to-day management of land holdings and agricultural accounts. This just delegates that. Delegates, I echo, my voice flat. Precisely. Mr. Gray speaks for the first time. His voice is deep, smooth, and practiced. It's a voice designed to make complex. Terrible things sound boring and routine. We are simply consolidating the management rights under a single trustee, your stepmother, to streamline the process. It's a temporary transfer of management authority, standard practice for an estate of this size, especially when one of the beneficiaries is out of state. He's good. He's very good. He uses words like streamline, temporary, and beneficiary to make me sound like a partner, not a target. It also allows the estate, he continues, his gaze sliding over the bankers at the table, to properly secure the necessary development loan for the new real estate venture. By presenting a unified front, we maximize the borrowing potential. Securing the loan, I say. Yes, the documents simply name you as the primary guarantor for the initial capital loan, he says, as if this is the most normal thing in the world. He's deliberately glossing over the words, burying the lead, primary guarantor. A cold, sharp clarity cuts through my remaining shock. My job. This is my job. I analyze risk, and the man in front of me is trying to sell me on the single worst deal of my life. I look at the stack of papers. It is, again, at least 20 pages. They are banking on me being too embarrassed, too shocked, too cowed by the public pressure to actually read it. I look up from the papers and meet Mr. Gray's eyes. How much? I ask. The room, which had just recovered its buzz, goes quiet again. I'm sorry? Mr. Gray asks, his professional calm unwavering. How much am I guaranteeing? I ask again, my voice clear. What is the principal on the loan I am being asked to backstop? What are the terms? The interest rate? And what assets, specifically, are being leveraged as collateral? The air at the table crackles. This is not the question of a sensitive daughter. This is the question of an analyst. Mr. Gray's eyes flicker, just for a second, to Lydia. He did not expect this. Well, he begins, clearing his throat. The final number is, of course, contingent on the bank's final approval. But we are... Lydia, I cut him off, turning to my stepmother. How much? Lydia's smile is gone, replaced by a tight, angry line. Madeline, you are being rude. Mr. Gray is our guest. It's just a number on a piece of paper. It's a formality. No one ever intends to use it. Then you won't mind telling me the number, I say. A woman 2 seats down, the wife of a local developer, whispers to her husband, "My God, why doesn't she just trust them? It's her family." A man across the table, one of Chase's sycophantic friends, scoffs. "She's just trying to show off. Look at me. I'm the big Chicago analyst." The tide of opinion, which had been in my favor after the slap, is turning. Lydia's narrative is winning. I am the cold, ungrateful, paranoid daughter, holding up the family's bright future over a formality. I feel a small, frantic movement next to me. It's Noah. His face is the color of chalk. His little hands are gripping his napkin in his lap so hard, his knuckles are white. He hasn't touched his dessert. He's been staring, terrified, not at me, but at Lydia and Mr. Gray. Ever since the lawyer was introduced, he knows. He knows what's in the papers. His note confirmed it. They're writing you out of the will tonight. This is it. This is the moment. Lydia sees the guests shifting. She senses her victory. Now, she moves in for the kill. She picks up the sleek, gold pen she was holding earlier. She clicks it. The sound is obscenely loud in the quiet. She places it on top of the documents. "Madeline," she says, her voice softening, returning to the tone of the long-suffering, loving mother. "This is not a business meeting. This is Thanksgiving. This is our family. We are just asking you to show a little faith, to be part of this family. We are going to sign this, right here, as a family, as a symbol of our unity, our future, and we are going to let all our wonderful friends bear witness to this lovely, lovely moment." She is trapping me. It's a perfect trap. If I refuse now, I am the monster. I am the one who destroyed Thanksgiving. I am the one who publicly, in front of 50 witnesses, spat in the face of my loving family. I will be ungrateful Madeline for the rest of my life. If I sign, I lose everything. I will be the primary guarantor for a loan I'm sure is in the millions. A loan for a project guaranteed to fail, all secured by assets that are, apparently, still partially mine, and I will have done it willingly, in front of a room full of people. I feel my pulse in my throat. I feel the burn on my cheek. I feel the folded note in my lap. I have a recording. I look at the pen. I look at Lydia's triumphant, expectant face. I look at my father, who is smiling weakly, so relieved that the scene is almost over. I take a slow, deliberate breath. And then, I quietly, calmly, push back my chair. I stand up. The entire room holds its breath. Lydia's smile falters. My father's face goes pale. I look at Mr. Gray, then at Lydia. Then I let my gaze sweep across the 50 silent, judging guests. "You're right, Lydia," I say, my voice steady, professional. "It is just a formality, a small one." I pick up the stack of papers. Lydia's face breaks into a relieved smile. "So," I continue, holding the documents, "I am sure that no one will mind if I just take these to the study, so I can read them carefully, and call my own lawyer." Lydia's smile shatters. Her face freezes. "After all," I finish, giving her the smallest, coldest smile I can muster. "It's just a small formality, right?" I do not wait for a single guest to react. I do not wait for Lydia's frozen, furious mask to crack. The moment my challenge hangs in the air, I turn to Noah. His face is a pale, greenish white, his eyes wide with a terror that goes far beyond the family drama he just witnessed. He's shaking, a fine, high-frequency tremor. "Noah, you look terrible," I say, my voice instantly shifting from icy confrontation to pure, feigned concern. I put my hand on his forehead. A performance for the 50 staring guests. "You're burning up." He looks at me, his eyes confused. Before he understands, he nods, a tiny, jerky movement. I feel sick. Maddie, my stomach." "See?" I say, turning to my father, my voice softening. This is all too much for him. He's dizzy. He needs to lie down. I put my arm around his small shoulders and begin to pull him out of his chair. Lydia sputters, Madeline, you are not… I am taking my brother, who is clearly ill, out of this room, I say, cutting her off with the finality of a guillotine. Excuse us. I don't look back. I guide Noah's trembling body out of the dining room, past the stunned faces of the bankers and lawyers, and into the grand, dim hallway. I don't go toward the guest bedrooms. I pull him down the corridor, past the main staircase, to the small, dark-paneled room at the very end of the hall, my father's old study, the one place I know has a solid core door and a working lock. I push Noah inside, follow him in, and close the heavy oak door. I turn the old-fashioned brass key in the lock. The click echoes in the small, silent space. We are alone. Maddie, I'm so sorry. Noah whispers, the tears he's been holding back finally breaking free, streaming silently down his face. Don't you dare be sorry, I say, my voice rough. I kneel in front of him. Noah, the note, the recording, show me now. He's trembling so hard he can barely get the phone out of his pocket. He hands it to me, his fingers cold and clammy. I didn't know what else to do. I heard them talking. I open his phone. He has the voice memo app open. There's only one new file, created this afternoon. The file name is a punch to the gut. Don't let M see. Okay, I whisper. I turn the volume down, way down, so it's just a faint buzz. Put your ear next to mine. I press the phone between our heads. I hit play. The audio is slightly muffled, as if the phone was under a desk, but the voices are unmistakable. The first voice is Lydia's, but it's not her warm hostess voice. It's the cold, flat, kitchen wall voice, the one I know. Lydia, audio. The key is the public signature. When she signs tonight, at the table, we immediately send the executed counterpart to the bank. The courier is waiting at the end of the drive. He'll have it by midnight. The second voice is deeper, calmer. Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray audio. And the bank is fully prepared? A $2.5 million draw is a significant move on a guarantor. They are comfortable with her as the sole primary guarantor? Lydia, audio. She won't be unsecured. The farm is the collateral. My contact at Heritage Community Bank, Harris, has already provisionally approved it. He just needs her signature on these specific guarantor forms to make it official and fund it. Once she signs, the loan is in her name, secured by Maple Ridge. It's perfect. My blood turns to ice. $2.5 million in my name. Mr. Gray audio. It's a very clean structure, and as we discussed, once we have this new witnessed signature, we can use it as a recent verified sample to execute the less public transfers. Lydia, audio. My son's shares. Mr. Gray, audio. Precisely. We can use the scanned authorization we have on file, the one from her 2008 University Trust, and validate it against tonight's fresh signature. It gives us the legal cover we need to complete the transfer of her remaining 30% share of the estate directly to Mr. Chase Hartman. She won't even need to be present. They are not just stealing my money. They are erasing my name from the land. They are stealing my legacy, my birthright, and handing it to Chase. And then, Lydia laughs, a short, dry, humorless sound. Lydia, audio. She'll sign. She'll put up a little fight, get self-righteous, maybe even cry, but she'll sign. Madeline is paralyzed by her own guilt. She always has been, ever since she abandoned her father to go play big shot in Chicago. All I have to do is mention Noah. All I have to do is remind her of her duty. She melts every time. I look at Noah. He is listening, his face ashen, as his mother describes, in cold, clinical detail, exactly how she weaponizes him against me. Mr. Gray, audio. A final point of order. The existing lines of credit. They are stable? Lydia, audio. More than stable. They're my genius. That little revolving credit account I opened with her social security number back when she was in college is the best tool I ever found. It's paid for all of Chase's development expenses for the last 5 years. A little $20,000 draw here, a $50,000 there for his projects, all secured by that general power of authorization she supposedly signed when she was 19. A document that, conveniently, we lost in a fire. She has no idea. The recording clicks off. The silence in the study is absolute. It's a black hole. Identity theft. For years. My social security number. The Heritage Community Bank mail. The credit inquiries. It wasn't just them being irresponsible with my money. It was them taking my money, and then taking more in my name. Noah is crying. A gut-wrenching, silent sob. I was supposed to get the big platter from the study, he whispers, his voice breaking. They were in here, talking. I heard them say your name and loan. I hid in the closet, the one by the door. Then Mom called me to go to the dining room. I left my phone, on the shelf, under the books. I hit record. I came back for it 10 minutes later. I said I forgot my I don't know, my napkin. I've been so scared all day. Maddie, I didn't want to betray Mom, but I didn't want them to do that to you. You're the only one who... He can't finish. I pull him into a hug, my arms locking around his thin, shaking shoulders. The white-hot anger is a nuclear core inside me, but it is surrounded by a fierce, painful, protective love. He is 13 years old, and he just saved my entire financial life. You didn't betray anyone. Noah, I whisper, my voice thick. You did the right thing. You did the bravest thing I have ever seen. They are the traitors. I let him go. The analyst, the one I keep locked away at family gatherings, is now in full command. Okay, I have to work, I say. My voice is different. It's the voice I use at Apex Shield. I go to the corner where I left my briefcase earlier. I pull out my laptop. I flip it open on the antique desk. Noah, I need a favor, I say. I need you to be my lookout. Stand by the door. Don't press your ear to it. Just stand there. If you hear anyone, even trying the handle, you cough. Twice. Got it? He scrubs the tears from his face with his sleeve and nods, his expression shifting from terror to resolve. He goes to the door, a small, pajama-clad soldier, and takes his post. My fingers fly across the keyboard. The muscle memory of my job takes over. I log into my secure, multi-factor authenticated financial portal. I pull my full credit report. There they are, 3 inquiries. I didn't make. The $20,000 revolving line from Heritage, 2 other small, $5,000 loans from local credit unions, all opened in the last 4 years. I open a separate window, my bank. I pull my transfer history. I search for all wires sent to Lydia, Robert, or any of their accounts. My stomach clenches. The dates line up. I see a transfer from me to Lydia for Noah's camp for $2,000. The next day, a payment of $1,950 to the fraudulent Heritage credit line. I see a transfer of $5,000 for furnace repair. 2 days later, a payment closing one of the secret $5,000 loans. The realization is sickening. She wasn't just stealing from me. She was using my own money, the money I sent out of guilt and love for Noah, to pay down the interest on the secret, fraudulent debts she was racking up in my name. She was making me finance my own identity theft. This $2.5 million loan isn't the beginning, it's the endgame. The small thefts were just practice. This is the big score. They're trying to leverage my actual name and stellar credit to fund Chase's new fantasy, bankrupt me, and seize my share of the estate, all in one public, witnessed, Thanksgiving-themed execution. My fury is so cold and so clear, it's almost peaceful. I open my secure email. I upload the audio file from Noah's phone. First email, to Rachel Cole, my personal attorney, subject, Urgent. Fraud in progress. Hard estate. Time sensitive. Rachel. I'm at Maple Ridge. Attached is a recording made by my brother this afternoon. Lydia Hartman and her attorney, a Mr. Gray, are conspiring to defraud me. They are trying to force me to sign a $2.5 million loan guarantee tonight. The recording confirms they have been engaged in systematic identity theft against me for years using my SSN. I am attaching my full credit report with the fraudulent accounts highlighted. I am also attaching my bank statements showing my funds being used to service these fraudulent debts. They just slapped me in front of 50 witnesses for refusing to sign. The situation is hostile. I need you, now. Second email. To Sarah B. Kensington at Heritage. My college friend. The VP. I also CC her personal account. Subject. Emergency lockdown. M. Hart. SSN. Sax. X. Gachex. Fraud. X. Sarah, it's happening. Right now. That M. Hart account we discussed? It's the tip of the iceberg. They're at the dinner table with me trying to get me to sign a 2.5M guarantee. And a Mr. Harris at your bank has apparently provisionally approved it. I am being actively defrauded by my family. The attached audio is proof. I need a full, immediate, nuclear lockdown. Freeze my SSN. No new loans. No new lines. No transfers. No anything in my name. Block Harris. Block anyone. This is not a drill. Call my cell. I hit send on both. My phone, sitting on the desk, lights up less than 60 seconds later. Not a call. A text. From Rachel. Rachel. Listening. Holy God. Do not sign anything. Do not leave that house. I am in my car. I am 2 hours away. I am driving. Keep them there. Whatever you do. Do not let them leave with those papers. The cavalry is on the way. I close my laptop. I stand up. My legs are steady. The sting on my cheek is gone, replaced by a cold resolve. I walk over to Noah, who is still standing guard by the door. I crouch down so I am at his eye level. I put my hands on his small shoulders. Noah, I say, my voice firm, but full of an emotion I cannot even name. Listen to me. What you did tonight, you didn't betray your mom. You chose the truth. You are the only one in this whole house who did. His lower lip trembles. What's going to happen now? I stand up and look at the oak door that separates this small, safe room from the battlefield on the other side. Now, I say, placing my hand on the brass doorknob, I'm going to finish this. I turn the lock. When I pull open the heavy oak door, the noise from the dining room washes over us. A low, anxious murmur. The guests are still in their seats, but the festive atmosphere is dead. They are not talking. They are whispering, dissecting the scene, placing their bets. I put my hand on Noah's back and guide him into the room ahead of me. Lydia spots us instantly. Her chair scrapes the floor as she stands, her face a mask of profound, maternal concern. She rushes toward Noah, arms outstretched, completely ignoring me. Noah, darling. Oh, my poor baby. Are you all right? She pulls him into a smothering embrace, pressing his face into her cashmere dress. Your sister, all this tension, it's made you ill. I knew it. Robert, he's pale. He needs to lie down. She is brilliant. In one move, she has recused Noah as my ally and repositioned me as the source of the family's sickness, the one whose tension is harming the child. Noah stands rigid in her arms, his face trapped, his eyes wide and panicked over her shoulder, fixed on me. My father, desperate for any escape route back to normalcy, jumps in. She's right. Of course. It's all too much. It's Thanksgiving. Let's just stop. For now, let's have dessert. Let's just have some pie and we can all talk about this tomorrow, when we're calmer. No, Robert. Lydia's voice is sharp. She releases Noah, who scurries back to his seat beside me, his head down. She knows, as I do, that tomorrow means the spell is broken. The 50 witnesses will be gone. The leverage will be lost. The courier at the end of the drive will leave empty-handed. Tonight is the only night this works. She turns to the table, her smile brittle but back in place. We are not postponing anything. We are a family. We are strong. And in a family, we trust each other. She beams at me, a grotesque parody of affection. We trust our children, and we especially trust our wonderful, if sometimes a little too serious, eldest daughter. She is rewriting the last 30 minutes, the slap, the argument, my refusal. All of it is now just a daughter being too serious. Chase, who has been silently enjoying the show while refilling his wineglass for the 4th time, lets out a short, barking laugh. Yeah, Maddie, God, all this drama over some papers. It must be so hard being rich. All this property. He makes a broad gesture. Such a heavy, heavy burden. A few of his friends, seated at the far end, snicker. The narrative is solidifying. I am the cold, rich, difficult one, creating a problem about money on a holiday. Lydia seizes the moment. She walks back to the head of the table. She picks up the pristine, dry copy of the leather-bound folio. She holds it up, not like a document, but like a proclamation. Then, she places it in the very center of the table, pushing aside a bowl of glazed sweet potatoes and the silver carving knife. It rests on the white linen like a sacrifice on an altar. The gold pen is placed directly beside it. This, she announces to the room, her voice ringing with false sincerity, is our future. This is the moment we secure the legacy of Maple Ridge, not just for us, but for our children and our grandchildren. She looks directly at me. Her eyes are not loving. They are the eyes of a shark. When Madeline signs this, as the head of the next generation, we will all remember this Thanksgiving. This is the day our family came together. This is the day we became unified. The pressure in the room is immense. She has made it a ceremony. She has made yes the only possible answer. The 50 guests are no longer just guests. They are the congregation, and I am the unwilling participant. I let the silence stretch. I look at the document. I look at Mr. Gray, who is watching me with a look of bored, professional anticipation. I look at Chase, who is smirking into his wineglass. I look at my father, who is pleading with his eyes. Just do it, Maddie. Make it stop. You're right, Lydia, I say, my voice quiet, but it cuts through the room. This is an important moment, and I want to be perfectly clear for the whole family. I turn my head slightly to Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray, since you structured this, you can clarify. The document lists me as the primary guarantor. Why? Mr. Gray blinks. As I said, it is a... I know what primary guarantor means, I say, cutting him off. It means I am first in line. It means the bank comes for me, my assets, my home, before it touches anyone or anything else. So my question is, why me? I turn my gaze to Chase. Chase, this is your luxury resort, isn't it? Your vision? Why aren't you the primary guarantor? Why isn't your collateral, your future earnings, on the line first? Chase sputters, his smugness vanishing. I mean, I'm the CEO. I'm running it's a structure. And Lydia, I say, turning to her, you and my father are the current trustees. Why are your assets not sufficient? Why not use the farm itself as the sole collateral? Why do you need me? Lydia's face darkens with a sudden, violent flush. She slams her hand on the table, making the silverware jump. How dare you, she hisses, her voice dropping all pretense of warmth. You stand there and you question me? I have poured my life into this farm. I put my own money in. I have hosted these people, made these connections. I have sweat for this place, while you were in Chicago, playing on your computers. I'm just asking about the structure, I say calmly. You're insulting me, she shrieks. You're insulting my commitment. This is just a legal formality. It's how these things are done. Maddie, my father's voice cracks like a whip. That is enough. I am sick of it. You always do this. You come in here with your suspicion, your accusations. You think everyone is out to get you. This woman, he says, pointing a trembling finger at Lydia, saved this family. She saved me from foreclosure. Do you have any idea what gratitude means? What duty means? She is your mother. She has earned your respect, and she has earned your trust. The old refrain, the one that has cost me $1.8 million, the one that, I now know, is a complete lie. He wasn't saved by her. He was saved with me. You're right, Dad, I say, my voice suddenly soft. The shift in tone catches them all off guard. I'm sorry, I'm an analyst. I get stuck on the details. I reach out and pull the thick document folio toward me, my hand resting on it. Rachel is 2 hours away. I need to keep them here. I need to keep Mr. Gray and his briefcase in this room. I need to start a filibuster. I am just confused, I say, opening the cover. I'm sure the guests won't mind. We are all family and friends. We all want what's best. I give a broad, inclusive smile to the trapped, uncomfortable guests. Let's just read it, so we are all clear. Mr. Gray, you can help me if I get stuck. I flip to a page I saw flagged. Page 4. Ah, here's a good section. The guarantee. My favorite. Let's see. I clear my throat. I begin to read, my voice clear and projecting, as if I'm giving a deposition. Clause 4A. The individual named herein, Madeline Hart, hereafter known as the guarantor, agrees to pledge, as primary and unlimited collateral, all personal, real, and liquid assets, both present and future, known and unknown. Madeline, this is not necessary, Mr. Gray says, his professional calm finally cracking. He tries to stand. Please, sit, I say, holding up a hand. I'm just getting to the good part. Where was I? Ah, yes. Assets, both present and future, in perpetuity, against the full sum of... I scan the line, and my blood runs cold, even though I expected it. Ah, the full sum of $2,500,000. There's the number. Funny how we couldn't find that earlier. The room is silent. The bankers at the table are no longer looking at me with judgment. They are looking at Lydia and Mr. Gray with sharp, professional curiosity. But this, I say. This is my favorite part. I flip a few more pages. Clause 7C. On the execution of this document. Oh, wait, no. This is better. Clause 8A. In the event of the guarantor's physical absence, or in the case of a dispute, a scanned, digital, or photocopied signature sample from any previously executed document, including but not limited to collegiate trust forms or state-issued identification, shall be considered legally binding. I pause. And what's this? And shall be held as equivalent to a wet signature on this present document, authorizing all aforementioned transfers of property and debt. I look up. The color is draining from Mr. Gray's face. He knows what I just did. A woman at the end of the table, a managing partner at a local law firm whom Lydia had been courting, is staring at Mr. Gray with an expression of pure, unadulterated professional contempt. A banker near her mutters to his wife, That's not just creative. That's predatory." Lydia sees it. She sees the room turning. She sees her prized guests, her witnesses, looking at her as if she's a criminal. She's lost the narrative. She lunges, trying to close the folio. "That is enough. You are ruining Thanksgiving. You are deliberately trying to humiliate me." Her voice is high and ragged. "If you insist on being this bitch, then we will go to the study. We will sign it in private. You are not going to bore our guests with this paranoia." She is trying to get me alone. She is trying to get the papers out of this room. I place my hand flat on the document, stopping her. My hand, my single hand, covers hers. She tries to pull the document. I do not move. No, Lydia, I say, my voice dangerously quiet. You wanted to do this in front of everyone. You said you wanted witnesses for this lovely family moment. I look around the room, at all the shocked faces. So let's stay, with our witnesses. I look her dead in the eye. If there is nothing to hide, Lydia, then there is no reason to sign it in private. The standoff is absolute. Her hand is under mine, her fingernails digging into the leather. My hand is a rock. Her face is a mask of pure, unadulterated hatred. My father is frozen, looking from me to her, his mouth half open. Noah, sitting beside me, is vibrating. His leg is bouncing under the table so fast it's a blur. I feel the panic rolling off him in waves. He's terrified of what he's started, terrified of what she'll do. Without breaking eye contact with Lydia, I slide my free hand off the table and into my lap. I find his knee. I place my hand on it, firmly, a silent, steadying pressure. I am here. I am in control. You are safe. His leg stops shaking. The silence in the room is suffocating. It is Lydia's will against mine. The documents are the battlefield, and 50 people are watching. Into this tableau of frozen hatred and family trauma, a sound cuts through the house. Ding dong. The sharp, 3-note chime of the front doorbell. Lydia flinches, startled. She rips her hand out from under mine. Who on earth is that? She snaps, her head turning toward the hallway. We aren't expecting anyone else. It's almost 9 o'clock. Robert looks relieved. A late guest? I'll have the staff check. Chase groans. God, more people. Lydia thinks it's an annoyance. My father thinks it's a distraction. I just look at the empty doorway. My heart is hammering in my chest. Rachel said 2 hours. It's been 25 minutes. She can't be here. She must have called the local police. She must have. The doorbell rings again. Ding dong. Insistent. Impatient. The truth is at the door, and it's not waiting to be invited. The insistent chime of the doorbell hangs in the air, a sound so normal it is obscene. My father blinks, grateful for the interruption. Maria, he calls toward the kitchen, his voice shaky. See who that is. Please, we are busy. Lydia looks furious. This is a break in her control, a variable she did not account for. She is still locked in a silent, hateful standoff with me, her hand hovering over the documents. We hear the click of the front door opening, a gust of cold November air, and then muffled voices from the grand foyer. One is Maria's, nervous and high. The other is a woman's, and it is not Rachel's. My heart sinks. Rachel is 2 hours away. This must be a guest, a neighbor, a disastrous, banal interruption. Maria, the housekeeper, appears in the dining room archway. She has worked for my father since before my mother died. Her hands are clasped so tightly her knuckles are white. She walks, not to Lydia, but to Robert. She leans in and whispers, her voice a low, frantic buzz. Mr. Hart, I am so sorry. There is a woman at the door. She says she is a lawyer. She says she is here for Miss Madeline. Robert's jaw goes slack. What? A lawyer? Lydia's head snaps toward him. A lawyer? For who? What is this? What have you done? She hisses at me. Before my father can formulate a response, I push my chair back and stand up, my legs steadier than I thought they would be. She is here for me, Lydia. I look at the housekeeper, who looks terrified of my stepmother. Maria, it's all right. Please show Ms. Cole in. I am expecting her. You planned this? Lydia's voice is a choked whisper of disbelief. You brought a lawyer? To Thanksgiving? I didn't invite her to dinner. Lydia, I say, just as the sound of sharp, decisive heels clicks on the hardwood floor of the hallway. I just called her when I realized I was being robbed. Rachel Cole appears in the archway. She is not what Lydia expected. She is not a small-town functionary. She is, like me, a product of Chicago. She is in her late 30s, wearing an impeccably tailored dark navy pantsuit and a steel gray silk blouse. Her hair is pulled back into a severe bun, and her face is sharp, intelligent, and utterly devoid of fear. She carries a slim leather briefcase in one hand and a tablet in the other. Her calm, analytical gaze sweeps the room, a perfect, instant assessment. The 50 stunned guests, the shattered glass, the wine stain, my father's gaping mouth, Mr. Gray's sudden pallor, Lydia's rising fury, and finally, my face and the red, fading handprint on my cheek. Her eyes rest on that mark for 1/10 of a second, and in that moment, I know, she has moved from lawyer to avenger. "Madeline," Rachel says, her voice clear and strong, projecting perfectly into the silent room. "I apologize for the interruption. Everyone, I came as soon as I got your message." "Rachel," I say, and the relief is so profound it's like an exhale I've been holding for a decade. "Thank you for coming. I'm afraid the situation is complicated." "I am quite sure I can handle it," she says, walking forward. Lydia finally finds her voice, and it is a screech. "Who are you? You cannot just walk in here. This is a private dinner. This is my home. Robert, get this woman out of our house." Rachel Cole stops and looks at Lydia. She does not look intimidated. She looks bored. "Ma'am, I am Rachel Cole. I am Ms. Hart's personal counsel." "I don't care if you're the president," Lydia snaps. "This is a family matter. You have no right to be here." "That," I say, stepping forward so I'm beside Rachel, "is where you are wrong." The room is silent. Every guest, from the local banker to Chase's idiot friends, is leaning forward. This is no longer a family spat. This is a show. "Lydia, when you are simply demanding my money, that's a family matter," I say, my voice as clear and cold as Rachel's. "When you are lying about my brother's needs, that's a family matter. When you slap me in front of 50 people, that's assault." The guests gasp. I have named it. "But when you use my social security number to open fraudulent lines of credit," I continue, "and when you attempt to coerce me into signing a $2.5 million loan guarantee under false pretenses, using my birthright as collateral, that is no longer a family matter, that is wire fraud, that is identity theft, and that is a crime." The word crime detonates in the room. Mr. Gray, the lawyer, who has been silent, finally speaks. "Now, see here, young lady. That is slanderous, voiceless." "Is it?" Rachel Cole cuts him off, her voice like a surgeon's scalpel. She steps up to the table, right next to Mr. Gray. "Then perhaps you can clear up a misunderstanding for me. I am Rachel Cole." I am Arthur Gray, of Gray and Associates," he sputters, clearly off balance. Mr. Gray, a pleasure." Rachel holds up her tablet. The screen is bright. "I am sure you recognize this. It's the document you've been discussing." On the screen is a perfect, high-resolution scan of the loan agreement. "My client," Rachel says, "was concerned about a few clauses, as am I." She taps the screen, and the document zooms in. Specifically, this one, page 7, the authorization, the one that allows Mrs. Hartman and Mr. Hart to execute this $2.5 million loan. Her finger moves, and it says here the loan is to be guaranteed by Madeline Hart, and that this guarantee can be executed using, what is this? She squints in mock confusion. A pre-existing signature authorization from a collegiate trust document dated over 10 years ago? The banker, Henderson, who had been sitting near my father, lets out a low whistle. "Jesus, Arthur, you actually put that in writing?" Mr. Gray's face goes from pale to a splotchy, dangerous red. "But that is just the new business," Rachel says, her voice almost conversational. "I was more interested in the old business." She swipes the screen. A new page appears. It's a spreadsheet, simple and brutal. "At my client's request," Rachel says, "we ran a full, expedited credit and asset report this evening. We found 3 ghost accounts, all opened in my client's name." Lydia, who has been frozen, begins to speak. That's. Rachel does not stop. A revolving line of credit from Heritage Community Bank for $20,000, a personal loan from the County Credit Union for $10,000, and another, larger line from a bank in Ohio for $50,000. Oh, wait. She looks up, her eyes bright with malice. My apologies. I misread the total of the known fraudulent debt, opened in my client's name without her knowledge, is not $50,000, it's $280,000. A woman at the far end of the table gasps and puts her hand to her mouth. All of these accounts, Rachel continues, her voice a relentless, steady hammer, were opened over the last 12 years, and the contact address, the place where all the bills were sent? Not my client's high-rise in Chicago. The address on file for all of them is Maple Ridge Estate. The billing contact? Lydia Hartman. Mr. Henderson, the banker, shakes his head, his face a mask of grim recognition. He looks at the lawyer next to him. It's the good credit shield pattern, a classic. You find a family member with a perfect credit score, preferably one who lives far away. You use their clean name to hide your own debt. You bleed them dry. That is a lie, Lydia screams, her voice cracking, her perfect hostess facade shattering into 1,000 pieces. It's a misunderstanding. Madeline knew. She always agreed to help this family. Always. She wanted to help Chase. She authorized it. We were simplifying the paperwork for her. Tell them, Robert. Tell them she always said yes. She always said yes, Rachel repeats, her voice dangerously soft. She taps her tablet. A new icon appears, a triangle, a play button. Then, Mrs. Hartman, why did you say this? Just this afternoon? She presses the button. And from the small, sharp speakers of the tablet, Lydia's own voice, cold, calculating, and utterly devoid of love, fills the dining room. Lydia, audio. She'll sign. She'll put up a little fight, get self-righteous, maybe even cry. But she'll sign. Madeline is paralyzed by her own guilt. I watch my stepmother's face. The blood does not drain from it. It seems to curdle. Lydia, audio. All I have to do is mention Noah. All I have to do is remind her of her duty. She melts every time. The room is a vacuum. The sound of Lydia's own voice, plotting the precise mechanics of her emotional blackmail, is a physical, sickening thing. Noah, next to me, has his hands over his ears, his eyes squeezed shut, but he is not crying. He is just waiting. Turn it off, Lydia whispers, her voice a dry rasp. Turn it off. Rachel taps the screen. The voice stops. You recorded me? Lydia breathes, her eyes on me, full of a new, different kind of hatred. In my own home? Mr. Gray lurches to his feet, his chair almost toppling over. This is an outrage, an absolute outrage. That recording is illegal. It was obtained without consent. It is entrapment. It is completely inadmissible. You cannot. This is a trick. Rachel Cole looks at the fuming, red-faced lawyer. She does not raise her voice. Mr. Gray, she says, the legality of a recording made by a third party, who was not party to the conversation, in a home he resides in. Well, it's a fascinating legal question. I'm sure the state bar and, eventually, the courts will have a wonderful time debating it. Her voice goes hard, like tempered steel. But we are not in court, not yet. We are at a dinner table, in front of 50 witnesses to a coerced signing and a physical assault. And at this table, that recording is not evidence. It's just the truth. Stop it, Robert roars, finally finding his voice, but it is aimed at me, at Rachel. All of you, stop this. You are airing our dirty laundry in front of our friends, our reputation. My God, Lydia's Lydia's reputation. This will be all over the county by morning. The last, flickering ember of hope I had for my father dies. I turn to him, and the rage I've been holding back, the cold, analytical rage, finally finds its voice. My reputation? I ask, and my own voice is shaking, not from sadness, but from a fury so white-hot it's almost dizzying. You are sitting there, worried about your reputation, while this woman, I point, my finger trembling, at Lydia, has been stealing my identity for 12 years, while you sat by and let her? I look him in the eye. Are you more worried about what the town will think, father, or that your daughter was just financially gutted, in your own home, by her own family? My father's mouth opens, but no sound comes out. He is a broken, empty vessel. The guests are not even trying to be polite. They are whispering, openly. I hear one of Lydia's best friends, a woman who runs the local historical society, mutter. All those charity donations, that new SUV for Chase, was that all? They are finally connecting the dots. Rachel lets the whispers build for a beat. Then she speaks, her voice cutting, calm and final, into the chaos. Mrs. Hartman, Mr. Gray, Mr. Hart, she addresses each of them, forcing them to meet her eye. My client is here. She is, for the moment, willing to be reasonable. But my primary, non-negotiable duty is the complete protection of her assets, and to that end, I took 2 precautions on my drive over. Lydia, who is staring at the tablet as if it's a snake, looks up, her eyes wide with a new, dawning dread. First, Rachel says, I spoke with my contact at Heritage Community Bank. As of approximately 30 minutes ago, a full, system-wide, nuclear-level freeze has been placed on Madeline Hart's Social Security number. No new loans will be funded. No transfers will be authorized. Mr. Harris, your contact at the bank, has been detained for a conversation with his compliance department. Your $2.5 million wire will not be going through. Lydia makes a small, strangled noise in the back of her throat. And second, Rachel continues, I felt that, given the, shall we say, hostile nature of the situation, the physical assault, the coercion, the 50 witnesses, it was probably best not to come alone. What? Robert whispers. Rachel looks at the antique grandfather clock in the corner of the dining room. I made a call to the county sheriff's office, and I also made a courtesy call to the bank's own internal fraud division. Both of their lead investigators agreed to meet me here to ensure a peaceful and orderly transfer of documents. Lydia's head snaps to the dark dining room window. The glass reflects the scene of her ruin, the candles, the horrified guests, my own steady face. She is staring out into the blackness, at the long, dark driveway, as if she can see them, as if she can, by sheer force of will, stop the sound of the tires, the crunch of gravel, the red and blue lights that are, at this very moment, turning past the great oaks and coming up the hill to Maple Ridge. The announcement of the sheriff's arrival hangs in the air. A final, unanswerable sentence. The dining room, which 30 minutes ago was a picture of festive success, is now a tomb. The guests are frozen, trapped witnesses to a crime scene. Lydia, who has been staring out the window into the dark, seems to break. The last vestige of her iron control shatters, but she does not collapse. She turns, her face a mask of pure reptilian hatred, and she finds a new target. She lunges, not at me, not at Rachel, but at my father. She points a trembling, accusing finger at Robert Hart, who is standing, slack-jawed, by his chair. "Him!" she screams, her voice a shredded, broken thing. You think this was me? This was my idea?" She takes a step toward him, and he flinches. A tiny, guilty movement. He knew everything, from the beginning. He was the one who was ruined. He was the one with the debts. I didn't save this family. We did, together. It is a desperate, ugly plea, the classic move of a cornered conspirator. Drag your partner down with you. My father looks at her, his face a mask of pale, sputtering denial. "Lydia, what are you saying? That's not… I… I didn't… That's not true." "Isn't it?" Rachel Cole's voice cuts through the new, chaotic accusations. It is still calm. It is still precise. "Mr. Hart, perhaps you can help us." Then, she taps her tablet. The screen changes. The spreadsheet of fraudulent loans vanishes, replaced by a new document, a scanned PDF. "Because I was also," Rachel says, "able to pull the original incorporation documents for the Maple Ridge LLC, the one you and Mrs. Hartman formed back in 2008, and I found this." She walks the tablet over, not to my father, but to me. "I believe this," she says, "is the general power of authorization Mrs. Hartman referred to in her recording, the one she lost in a fire." I look at the screen. It's a single-page document, a limited power of attorney. It has a typed date from October of my sophomore year of college. It's a simple form, authorizing Lydia Hartman to manage and make decisions regarding all financial matters related to the tuition and living expenses of Madeline Hart. A box at the bottom is for authorization. It's signed by my father, Robert Hart, as guardian. And next to it, on the line for student, is my name, Madeline Hart. I stare at the signature. It is my signature. It's the slightly loopy M and the sharp T I used in college. It's perfect. It's also wrong. It floats just slightly above the line, the resolution a fraction grainier than the rest of the text. It's a copy-paste. "That's…" I start, my voice choking. "That's my signature. But I never signed this." "I know," Rachel says quietly. "Look at the date. October 14th, 2008. "I remember that week," I whisper, the memory hitting me with the force of a physical blow. That was midterms. I was in the library at Northwestern for 3 straight days. I was in Evanston. I was 2,000 miles away. I look up from the tablet, not at Rachel, not at Lydia, but at my father. He is no longer sputtering. He is gray. "You signed it," I say. It is not a question. You signed for me. You took my signature from my university application, from the financial aid forms I had you co-sign, and you pasted it onto this." He just stares at me, his mouth opening and closing silently. "And it wasn't just for tuition," Rachel continues, her voice a relentless, factual monotone, stripping away the last of his defenses. "This document, this fraudulent power of attorney, is what Mrs. Hartman used to open that first $20,000 line of credit at Heritage Community Bank, the one she used for projects." She turns to my father. "And we found those projects. Mr. Hart, I pulled your credit report, too. I found the public records, because the initial draws on that fraudulent line of credit, they don't seem to match any of Chase's ventures. They do, however, match, almost to the dollar, the final balloon payments on 2 of your personal, high-interest loans, the ones you took out before you married Lydia." She lets the words hang in the air. "A series of rather significant gambling debts, and a down payment on that failed condominium investment in Colorado." The room is silent. The second truth has landed. Lydia was the architect, but my father was the blueprint. He was the original sin. Lydia hadn't saved a grieving widower. She had found a desperate, bankrupt gambler, and they had formed a partnership. She got the farm, the status, the name. He got a bailout. And I was the bank. I was the unnamed, unknowing, unlimited source of capital that paid for their entire life. I finally understand. Lydia was never the savior. She was just a more competent predator. I look at my father, the man I have spent the last decade trying to protect, the man I pitied, the man I kept sending money to out of a misplaced sense of daughterly guilt, the man I still, in some stupid, childish corner of my heart, was still trying to impress. "Why?" I whisper. He flinches, as if I had screamed. "Babe," he stammers, the old, weak nickname slipping out, making me feel ill. "Maddie, You don't understand. It, it was just, it was just to get on our feet. Just a little bit. To clear the slate. I was going to pay it back. I swear. I was. You were going to pay it back? I ask, my voice hollow. Yes, of course. But then, things got complicated. The farm, the expenses, Chase's school, and Lydia. Lydia said it was just the only way to keep the family, to keep us all afloat. The betrayal from Lydia was a hot, sharp pain, like the slap. This is a cold, deep, paralyzing agony. This is a rot in the bone. I remember every A I ever brought home, desperate for his approval. I remember him holding my university acceptance letter, his eyes filled with tears, telling me, "You're so smart, Maddie. You're going to go so far." I remember him on the phone, after my first promotion. "I'm so proud of you, babe. So proud of what you've built." I look at him, this gray, trembling, pathetic man. You told me you were proud of me." My voice cracks. Just once. All those years, all those phone calls, while you were signing my name? While you were letting her bleed me dry? Did you ever even ask me? Or did you just assume I would never find out? He has no words. He just shakes his head, tears of self-pity welling in his eyes. This is a new voice, Chase. He is on his feet, his face purple with rage and too much wine. The boat is sinking, and he knows it. He's not a con man. He's just a leech, and his host is about to be quarantined. "This is bullshit. This is all your fault," he snarls, jabbing a finger at me. You traitor. You come in here with your lawyer and your recordings. You're trying to destroy us just because you're a cold, lonely bitch who hates her family. He is unraveling, all the lazy charm gone, replaced by the ugly, spoiled core. You're just playing the victim. That's all you're good at. Crying about how hard your life is from your big glass tower. You bitch. He takes a sloppy, lurching step toward me. "Shut up." The voice is high-pitched, but it rings through the room with the force of a gunshot. We all turn. "Noah?" He is on his feet, standing next to his chair, his small fists clenched at his sides. He is no longer pale. His face is bright red, and tears are streaming down his cheeks. But it is not fear. It is a pure, unadulterated rage that mirrors my own. He is staring at his older brother, Chase. "You shut up," Noah screams again. You're the traitor. She paid for everything. She paid for your stupid cars. She paid for your failed crap, and Mom hit her, and Dad let her. You stole from her, and you shut up." He is sobbing, a full-bodied, gasping, 13-year-old cry of complete moral collapse. He has just watched his entire world, his mother, his father, his older brother, be revealed as monsters. Chase looks at him, stunned into silence, as if his little brother has just grown a second head. And I am just frozen. The whole room is frozen. The guests are statues. The fog in my head is gone. The pain is gone. There is only a terrible, terrible clarity. This was not a series of bad choices. This was not helping the family. This was a system built on the quiet, unspoken, absolute assumption of my silence, a system that ran on my guilt, my sense of duty, my love for Noah, and my desperate, pathetic hope that one day my father would see me. They built a machine to drain me, and they all, every single one of them, had a function. Chase was the visionary who created the need. Lydia was the operator who managed the fraud. And my father? My father was the guardian, the one who signed the papers, the one who used his perceived softness and my love for him as the emotional cover for the entire operation. I turn my back on Chase. I turn my back on Lydia, who is watching her youngest son's betrayal with a dead, hollow expression. I walk the 2 steps until I'm standing directly in front of my father. He is crying now, silent tears of a man who has just been exposed. He looks old. He looks like what he is, a weak, frightened, finished man. "Maddie," he whispers, reaching a hand out. "Please, I'm your father." I look at his hand. I do not take it. I look him in the eye. I let him see the ruin. I let him see the death of the 16-year-old girl who adored him. "You know," I say, and my voice is quiet, dead, and final. "After all this, I think I could have forgiven you for being weak. I've been doing it my whole life." I take a breath. "I cannot forgive you for being silent for 10 years. His face, his whole body, seems to collapse. The word, the finality of it, hits him like a physical blow. He doesn't just look older, he looks gone. He stumbles back, his hand fumbling for his chair, and he sinks into it, his head in his hands, a man who has just been erased. My last words to my father hang in the destroyed air of the dining room. He is a hollowed-out man, collapsed in his chair, his face in his hands. Noah's small, ragged sobs are the only sound, a punctuation mark on the end of our family. Lydia is staring at her son, her face a mask of such pale, cold fury that it frightens me more than her screaming. Chase is a coiled, panting animal, glaring at Noah, then at me. Into this tableau, a new sound intrudes. It is not a polite chime. It is the sound of cars, multiple cars, driving too fast on the gravel drive. The crunch of the tires, an aggressive, hurried sound. We hear car doors slam, not 1, not 2, at least 3. A guest near the main window, a local developer who had been laughing at my father's jokes an hour ago, peeks through the heavy velvet curtain. "Oh my God," he whispers, his voice horrified. "Charles, there are police cars, and another car. It looks official." As if summoned, the room is painted in light. Flashing strobes of red and blue sweep across the walls, turning the wreckage of the Thanksgiving dinner into a gruesome, strobing crime scene. The light flashes across the wine stain, across my father's bowed head, across Lydia's frozen, hateful face. This is the end. The guests, who had been trapped by morbid curiosity, are now trapped by something far more serious. A low, unified moan of panic rises from the table. We must be going," a woman stammers, fumbling for her purse. "Charles, please, this has nothing to do with us. Everyone, please stay in your seats." The voice is not my father's. It booms from the dining room archway, a voice of pure, calm, professional authority. A man in a county sheriff's uniform stands there. He is broad, weathered, and his eyes, which miss nothing, land immediately on the fading red handprint on my cheek. "I'm Sheriff Miller," he says, his voice not unkind, but absolute. "We understand this has been an eventful evening. We'd appreciate it if everyone stayed right where they are for a few more minutes. We just need to clarify a few details." Behind him, 2 people in plain clothes, a man and a woman, step into the room. They are detectives, and they carry the exhausted, unimpressed aura of people who have seen this all before. And behind them, a 4th person, a woman in a severe black business suit, carrying a sleek, professional briefcase. She makes eye contact with Rachel. "Ms. Cole," the woman says, her voice crisp. "Mrs. Vance," Rachel nods. "Thank you for coming on such short notice." "The bank takes these allegations very seriously," Mrs. Vance says, her eyes already scanning the room, assessing the players. Sheriff Miller steps forward, his gaze moving from me to the head of the table. "All right," he says. "I need to speak with Lydia Hartman, Robert Hart, and Chase Hartman. Would you 3 please?" "Ah, you're already seated," His voice is dry. "Please remain where you are. We have a few questions for you." Lydia, who has been in a state of shocked paralysis, finds her voice. It is a thin, reedy shriek. "Sheriff, thank God! You must arrest this woman." She points a trembling finger at me. She has assaulted this family. She has conspired with this lawyer to destroy our Thanksgiving. This is a private family matter." "Ma'am," the sheriff says, his voice patient. "It stopped being a private matter when we received credible allegations of wire fraud, identity theft, and coercion, all corroborated by the bank's own internal investigation, which was triggered about 45 minutes ago." Lydia's mouth clicks shut. Mrs. Vance, the bank investigator, steps forward, opening her briefcase. "Mr. Hart, Mrs. Hartman, I am an agent of the bank's Central Fraud and Compliance Division, on behalf of the bank, and by order of an emergency judicial injunction granted by Judge Miller at 9:07 p.m. this evening." She pulls out a thick document. She begins to read. Her voice is a flat, emotionless monotone that is more terrifying than any scream. She reads the order, a temporary injunction, a total freeze on all assets, liquid and real, associated with the Maple Ridge Estate LLC, all accounts, checking, savings, investment, trust, bearing the names Lydia Hartman, Robert Hart, or Chase Hartman are, as of this moment, frozen. No funds may be transferred, no property may be sold, leveraged, or used as collateral. This house," my father whispers, his head coming up. You can't." "The estate is frozen, sir," Mrs. Vance says, "pending a full forensic audit to determine the extent of the fraudulent loans taken out against its assets and, I quote, in the name of Ms. Madeline Hart." "No!" Lydia screams. It is a raw, guttural sound of pure loss. "No, you cannot do this. This is my house. I saved this house. This is a conspiracy. It is a plot against a woman who has sacrificed everything for her family." "Sheriff," Rachel Cole says, holding up her tablet, "the audio recording where Mrs. Hartman details her plan to use Ms. Hart's guilt, alongside the fraudulent documents, has already been uploaded to your office. The entire conspiracy is on tape." The words silence Lydia. She looks at the tablet, then at Rachel, and all the fight, all the fire, just dies. She collapses back into her chair, a hollowed-out woman, finally, truly, understanding that she is lost. But Chase is not his mother. He is not a strategist. He is a cornered, stupid animal. While all eyes are on Lydia, I see him. He is hunched over, his face pale with sweat. His thumb is a blur, flying across the screen of his phone. Delete, delete, delete. The female detective, who has been standing silently by the door, sees him too. She moves without a sound. "Mr. Hartman," she says, her voice quiet. Chase jumps, startled. "What? I'm just—" "I'll take the phone," the detective says, holding out her hand. You can't. That's my private property. You need a warrant." Chase barks, his voice high with panic. The detective sighs. She looks at her partner. "He's deleting, in front of me." She looks back at Chase. "Sir, you are actively, and very stupidly, destroying evidence in the middle of a felony fraud investigation that, in itself, is a separate felony called tampering. So, you have two choices. You can hand me the phone right now, or I can arrest you, right now, for obstruction. Take the phone anyway, and you can spend Thanksgiving night in a holding cell. Your choice." Chase stares at her, his jaw working. He knows he's beaten, with a look of pure childish hatred. He shoves the phone at her. "Thank you," the detective says. The screen is still lit. She glances at it. "Well, what do you know?" An open email thread with Arthur Gray. Subject line, "Using the old signature. Well, This just made our lives a whole lot easier. Mr. Gray, the lawyer, who has been trying to make himself invisible at the far end of the table, makes a small, strangled sound and puts his head in his hands. The male detective, the one who crouched, looks at Rachel's tablet, then at me. Ms. Cole, you said this recording was provided to your client. Who made it? It was a third party, Rachel says, who was legally present in the home and was, I believe, a minor. The detective's eyes scan the room. He looks at Chase, at my father, at the guests, and then his gaze softens as it lands on Noah. Noah is standing like a statue, his hand still locked in mine. He is shaking from head to toe. The detective walks over, moving slowly, as if not to startle a deer. He crouches down, bringing himself to Noah's eye level. "Son," he asks, his voice low and kind. "My name is Detective Evans. I know this is a lot, but we heard someone made a recording on a phone. Do you know anything about that?" This is it. This is the moment. The entire room, every guest, every cop, every lawyer, and his entire broken family turns to look at a 13-year-old boy. Lydia's head snaps up. Her eyes are blazing. A silent, desperate, terrible command. "Don't you dare!" I feel Noah's hand, slick with sweat. Try to pull away. I let it go. This cannot be for me. This has to be his choice. He stands alone. He looks at the kind detective. He looks at his mother's face, a mask of warning and desperate, pleading love. He looks at his father, a broken man. He looks at Chase, who is glaring at him with pure venom. And then he looks at me. He takes a deep, shuddering breath. He turns back to the detective. "Yes, sir," he whispers, his voice a tiny, brave thread. I did it. I recorded them." "Noah!" The name is a physical blow, ripped from Lydia's throat. It is a sound of ultimate betrayal. "Why'd you do that, son?" Detective Evans asks, his voice remaining gentle. Noah is crying, tears streaming down his face, but he does not look away. I heard them, in the study, this afternoon. They said they were going to make my sister sign papers." His voice hitches. "They said, when she signed, she would be ruined. They said they were going to take all her money, and the farm. I was scared. I was scared they were going to take everything from my sister, and it wasn't. It wasn't right." You? Lydia is on her feet, her chair scraping, her hands clasped to her chest. She is not looking at the police. She is looking at her son, her youngest, her baby. "You?" she whispers, her voice cracking with a pain that is, for the first time tonight, completely real. My son? You stand with her?" She stabs a finger at me. Against your own mother?" The room holds its breath. This is the final trial. Noah, my brave, terrified little brother, turns to face his mother. He is sobbing, but he does not back down. She's my sister," he cries, his voice breaking. "And you hit her. You lied. You were stealing. You were stealing from her. You crossed her first." The words, "you crossed her first," land with a physical, devastating impact. It is the one truth, from the one person. She cannot fight. Lydia stumbles back, as if he had slapped her. She makes a small, wounded sound, a low, animal wail, and she collapses into her chair, her face in her hands, utterly, finally, and completely broken. Sheriff Miller clears his throat, breaking the spell. "All right, that's enough, detective," he says. "Take Mr. Hart into the study. Get his preliminary statement. Mrs. Vance, you and Ms. Cole can begin. Mr. Gray," he says, his voice flat. "You're coming with me, to the station, now." He turns to the remaining two. Mrs. Hartman, Mr. Chase Hartman. He pulls 2 folded papers from his pocket. I am not arresting you tonight, but this, he says, handing one to Lydia, one to Chase, is a summons. You will both be at the county courthouse tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. You will be formally read the charges: fraud, conspiracy, identity theft, grand larceny. I strongly advise you, he adds, his eyes on the sobbing Lydia, to have a lawyer with you, a different one. This is the cue. The guests, who had been frozen, begin to move. It is a quiet, shamed, guilty exodus. They grab their coats, their purses, not making eye contact with me, not making eye contact with the sobbing wreck of their hostess. They flee, one by one, desperate to escape the scene. The dining room empties, the noise of the party replaced by the quiet, professional murmur of Rachel and Mrs. Vance comparing documents. My father is led, shuffling, out of the room by the detective. Soon, there is no one left but us. Me, Rachel, and Noah, a tiny, victorious island on one side of the ravaged table, and on the other, Lydia, a destroyed, sobbing heap, and Chase, who has started pacing, a caged animal, muttering, "This is insane. This is insane." The battle is over. I am standing in the wreckage, my ears ringing, my body numb, when I feel a small, insistent tug on the sleeve of my wine-stained blouse. I look down. Noah. His face is a ruin of tears and snot, but his eyes are fixed on me with a desperate, new, terrifying clarity. He leans in, his voice a tiny whisper, so quiet I can barely hear it over his mother's weeping. "Maddie?" "I'm here, Noah," I whisper back. "I'm right here." His small hand grips my arm. If everything is gone? If the farm, and Mom, and... He can't finish the thought. He takes a small, shuddering breath. Can I go with you when you go back to Chicago? Can I come with you?" I look at this small, brave, broken boy who has just set fire to his entire world, all for me, for the truth. He has made his choice. I kneel, right there on the wine-soaked carpet, ignoring the shards of glass and the cold. I pull him into my arms, and for the first time tonight, I let myself cry. "Yes," I whisper into his hair, my voice thick. "Yes, Noah, of course. You're with me. You're coming with me." The study door opens. My father shuffles out, flanked by Detective Evans. He is not a man anymore. He is a husk. His face is a pasty, uncomprehending white. His eyes glassy with a shock so profound it has burned out all other emotions. He looks like he has aged 20 years in the last 20 minutes. Detective Evans guides him back to his chair at the head of the ravaged table. My father sits, his hands falling into his lap like 2 stones. "Mr. Hart has been advised of his rights," the detective says to the room, his voice flat. "He has been informed that full, immediate cooperation with our investigation and the bank's audit is his only path. The charges are significant: conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft, forgery." Lydia, who has been rocking silently, her face a mask of broken hatred, lets out a small, choked laugh. "Conspiracy. He wasn't smart enough to conspire. He was just weak." "That is a matter for the DA to decide, ma'am," Sheriff Miller says, unmoved. "What's clear is that you two," he nods at Lydia and Chase, "are facing the full weight of this, and you, Mr. Gray," he jerks his head at the lawyer, who looks physically ill, "you're going to be explaining this creative legal work to the state bar for years, assuming you're not doing it from a jail cell. This is the end, the final accounting." "If I may," Rachel Cole says, her voice cutting through the heavy, toxic air. We all turn to her. She is standing next to me, her tablet off. Her work, I assumed, was done. I was wrong. "There is one final piece of business," she says. She reaches into her slim leather briefcase and pulls out one single, old-looking document. It is not a fresh printout. It is a sheaf of thick, cream-colored, legal-sized paper, bound by a faded blue ribbon. "What is that?" my father whispers, his voice a dry rasp. More of her tricks?" He points a trembling finger at Lydia. "No, Mr. Hart," Rachel says. "This is not from Lydia. This is not from the past 10 years. This document was executed 35 years ago, and it was filed with a different law firm. One, I am certain, Mrs. Hartman has never heard of. My firm has been the custodian of this for decades." She places the document on the table, on the last clean, unstained part of the white linen. "This," she says, "is the last will and testament of your father, Andrew Hart, my grandfather." A new silence, a new kind of dread, descends. Lydia's head snaps up, her eyes narrowing. She knows what a will is. That's void," Lydia sputters. Robert, we redid all of that when we were married. We have our own trust, our own... You have a trust that you created. Mrs. Hartman, Rachel says, her voice cold. But you did not create the land. My grandfather was a very specific man. He loved this farm, and he left it, not to his son, but to a trust, to be shared by his grandchildren. Plural. He was, it seems, prescient. He left it to us, I whisper, looking at my father. All of us. He left it to you, Madeline, Rachel says. And upon his birth, to Chase, and then to Noah, equal shares, to be managed by your father as trustee. However, she unties the faded blue ribbon. She flips to a page near the end, a page marked with a single, ancient yellow tab. My grandfather, he was a risk analyst, too, in his own way. He did not like Lydia. He told me so. Once, he said she was too shiny. He included a clause, a morals clause, a character clause. I'm not even sure what to call it, but it is specific, and it is binding. She holds up the paper. She reads, Clause 12b. Should any beneficiary of this trust, or any guardian acting on their behalf, be found to have willfully and maliciously engaged in fraud, forgery, or any criminal act. Her eyes flick to Mr. Katz, gray. Designed to unlawfully leverage, steal, or coerce the assets or identity of another beneficiary. Her eyes move. They land on Chase, on Lydia, on my father. Then that person, and all their direct issue. Chase, who has been staring, uncomprehending, suddenly looks up, his lazy brain finally catching the nuance. Shall be immediately, automatically, and irrevocably disinherited from this trust. Their share, and all rights associated with it, shall be forfeit, and that share. Rachel pauses, letting the words hang in the air. Shall be divided and absorbed, in full, by the remaining, non-culpable beneficiaries. She looks up. The events of tonight, Mrs. Hartman, Rachel says, her voice quiet, are a textbook execution of Clause 12b. You have willfully and maliciously engaged in fraud. You did it in front of 50 witnesses, and your own son, God bless him, recorded you planning it. Lydia just stares. She does not, I think, even comprehend the words. What does that mean? Chase asks, his voice small, childish. It means, Mr. Hartman, Rachel says, that as of, about 9:07 p.m. tonight, when the judge signed that injunction based on the evidence of your conspiracy, you were disinherited. Your mother's actions voided your entire claim on Maple Ridge, and as your father, Robert, acted as guardian and conspirator, his right as trustee is void, and his own personal share is forfeit as well. The silence is a physical weight. So, I whisper, who gets it? Rachel Cole looks at me, and for the first time, she smiles. A small, tight, vicious smile. The remaining, non-culpable beneficiaries, she says, the farm, the land, the house, the legacy, it all just passed, to you and to Noah. I do not cheer. I do not feel triumphant. I feel a strange, cold, profound quiet. A circle, closed. The one person, the one adult, who had ever, in this entire family, actually protected me, was a ghost. A man who had died 30 years ago. A man who had seen Lydia for what she was from day one, and who had left a single, legal landmine, waiting for her to step on it. And tonight, she had, with both feet. Sheriff Miller, who has been listening to this with a look of stunned, professional awe, clears his throat. Well, that just simplifies the hell out of the property seizure. It's not a family asset anymore. It's hers. He nods at me. That's it, he says. All business. Mrs. Hartman, Mr. Chase Hartman, on your feet. You're not under arrest. But I am escorting you to the station for formal processing and booking. Your summons is for court, but your night is with us. Lydia does not move. The detective has to reach down and physically touch her arm. She recoils, as if from a snake, and stumbles to her feet. She is diminished. The power, the fire, the perfect hostess. It's all gone. She is just a woman in a stained, expensive dress, her hair coming undone, her face a mask of ruin. As the detective leads her toward the archway, she stops. She turns. She looks at me. Her eyes are not dead. They are full of a black, bottomless hatred. You, she whispers, her voice a low, gravelly rasp. You did this. You bitch. You came into my home. And you stole my family. You stole my son. She looks at Noah, who flinches and hides his face against my side. I hope you're happy, she hisses, tears of pure venom, not sadness, now tracking through her makeup. I hope you are so happy in this empty house with nothing. I stand up. I walk toward her. I stop 3 feet away. I am not the 16-year-old girl in the kitchen. I am not the 33-year-old woman she slapped. I am not hers anymore. You're wrong. Lydia, I say, my voice quiet, but it carries. A family isn't a thing you can steal. It's not a house. It's not a bank account. I look her in the eye. A family is a thing you can only sell, and you sold yours, piece by piece, for a cashmere dress, for a new car for Chase. You sold it all, and tonight, you just ran out of things to sell. She has no answer. She makes a small, animal sound in the back of her throat. The detective, gently but firmly, pulls her arm. Ma'am, let's go. She is led out. Chase follows, his head down, his hands in his pockets, a sulking, defeated child, not even looking at his mother. We hear the front door open. We hear the cold night air. We hear Lydia's final, fading shriek. Robert! Robert! You! Coward! And then the door closes, and she is gone. The silence that descends is profound. I look down. Noah is still clinging to me, his small body shaking. He is watching the empty doorway, his face pale. He just watched his mother get taken away. I kneel. I put my hands on his shoulders. Noah, are you okay? It is the stupidest question I have ever asked. He just nods, his eyes wide with shock. She's gone. Yes, I say. Is Dad? Is he? I look over my shoulder. My father is still sitting at the table, a lone, broken figure, the last guest at a party of ghosts. Rachel Cole is standing in front of him. She slides a new thin stack of papers in front of him. Robert, she says, her voice all business. This is the last set. This is your choice. You can sit here. and you will be arrested, and you will be charged as a co-conspirator with your wife, or... She taps the papers. This is a full, sworn confession, an agreement to cooperate fully with the district attorney's office against your wife, your son, and Mr. Gray. This is a petition for an emergency divorce, citing criminal fraud, and this, she slides the last page on top, is a temporary emergency transfer of full physical and legal custody of your son, Noah Hart, to his half-sister, Madeline Hart, citing this entire goddamned night. He has one last choice: save his wife or save himself. He looks at the papers. His hand is shaking so violently he cannot pick up the pen. He looks at me. His eyes are hollow. "Maddie," he whispers. His voice is a child's. "Maddie, if I sign, will you ever forgive me?" I look at this man, my father, the man who taught me how to ride a bike, and the man who pasted my name onto a loan document, the man who said he was proud of me, and the man who let his wife hit me. I look at him for a long, cold moment. "Forgiveness, Dad," I say, and my voice is flat, "is for the future. We don't know if we have one." I tap the papers. "Signing is for right now." He looks at me. He looks at Noah. He looks at the papers. He sees the truth. There is no forgiveness here. There is only the transaction. His hand, shaking, closes around the pen. He uncaps it. And in the vast, ruined silence of the dining room, the only sound is the scratch, scratch, scratch of his pen on the paper. He signs away Lydia. He signs away his lies. He signs away his son. The sound of the pen mixes with the sound of car doors slamming outside, of engines turning over, of gravel crunching as the sheriff's cars, and Lydia, and Chase, and my entire past pull away down the long, dark drive. Rachel Cole quietly, neatly, stacks the signed papers. She nods to Mrs. Vance. "It's done. The estate is secure. Custody is secure. The rest is for the D.A." She looks at me, at Noah. "Madeline, it's over. For tonight, we'll start the rest tomorrow." She and Mrs. Vance walk out, their heels clicking, the professionals, their work complete. We are alone. Just me and Noah and my father, who is now just Robert, a man in a chair, weeping into his hands. The room is a wreck, half-eaten plates of pie, smeared, congealed food, overturned, wine-stained napkins. The candles have burned down to smoking, guttering nubs. I stand up. I take Noah's hand. It is small and cold, and he grips mine like a lifeline. "Robert," I say. He does not look up. "Go to bed," I say. "There is nothing else to do tonight." He nods, a small, broken movement, and like an old man. He pushes himself up from the table and shuffles out of the room, not looking at us, his head down, a ghost, finally and truly, in his own house. It is just us. I look at my little brother. His face is stained with tears, but his eyes are clear. "Come on," I say, my voice thick. I take his hand, and I lead him to the great archway of the dining room. I look back, just once, at the scene, at the table, at the documents, at the broken glass, at the ghosts. I reach for the light switch. I flip it. The room, the feast, the ruin, it all plunges into darkness. I lead Noah out onto the front porch. The night air is cold, sharp, and clean. The red and blue lights are gone. Just the pinpricks of stars in a black sky. The air smells like pine and winter. Behind us, Maple Ridge is dark. It is not a home. It is not a trap. It is just property, a house. I look down at Noah. He is looking up at me, his eyes reflecting the starlight. "Next year," I say, and I squeeze his hand. "Our Thanksgiving, it's going to be in Chicago. It's going to be pizza, and it won't be about showing off. It will be about us. It'll be the day we remember you. You chose the truth. He leans his head against my side, and for the first time in my entire life, I feel safe. I am not signing anything. I am not running. I am here, and no one, ever again, will write my story for me. Thank you so much for listening to this story. What did you think? I would love to know where in the world you are listening from. So drop a comment below and let's share our thoughts. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to Lila Revenge Stories. Give this video a like and show your support by hitting that hype button so more people can hear this story.